YouTube, how's it going? Today is the day in my last video before the draft. Final thoughts, big board releasing, and position rankings releasing. The big board and position rankings, two separate links, should be down in the description and linked in the comments as well, so go check those out. I prefer the position rankings. The big board gets tough at times, trying to split these guys up when they play different positions. You kind of, when they're close in grade, I should say, kind of got to split them up based on the impact of the position. Quentin Nelson, an example, maybe the best at his position in this draft, but the guard position makes him slide down. Looking at a Bradley Chubb come from the edge rush position, or the impact Saquon Barkley makes. So I think the position rankings are more helpful or interesting. So go ahead and check all those out. But I'm going to discuss my final thoughts here first, and then I'll show screenshots of my top 10 big board on this. So not too much going on with the graphics here, more of a podcast, last minute video here, but we'll have plenty more right after the draft. I'll have big winners and losers, recap each pick, my thoughts on each pick, and then tomorrow, the day after day one, I will have actual grades. We'll have a mock for day two. We'll keep on going on. Got you covered. Follow our Twitter, frogs_angels. Final thoughts, final mock draft will be on there. We had some good discussions last night. But final mock draft will be on the Twitter, so link is in the description for that too. Go follow us, and we'll be covering the draft on there. And well, let's get into my final thoughts. Starting with pick one, we discussed this in the previous video. I still think it's Darnold, even though people are locking in Mayfield. I mean, it's going to be crazy. We'll see what it is. I discussed this a lot in the last video, so we'll just go on to the Giants pick two. People seem to be locking in Saquon Barkley. My gut feeling was it was a quarterback all along. We'll see if that ends up happening. We'll see if the Browns don't take Darnold, if that's the only reason the Giants don't take Barkley, or were they taking a quarterback all along. I don't think the pick will be traded. Again, it's either Barkley or a quarterback. It could be Chubb, I guess, too, but it seems like people are locking in Barkley there. My gut says quarterback. When are you going to be picking two in the near future and have an opportunity like this to get a quarterback? So we'll see. The obvious pick at three for the Jets has got to be quarterback. If somehow Darnold's there, I expect that to be the pick. But all along it's been Mayfield or Rosen. If those two are there, I was still leaning towards Rosen, but I thought that was more of a fit. But you keep hearing about these teams that love Mayfield. They love him so much, and mainly AFC teams. You hear how much they love him. So I don't think Mayfield gets by this point. We will see. Then pick four, the Browns. You expect this to be, if Saquon is somehow here, you expect it to be him. Otherwise, it's Chubb or a trade down. I would look out for a trade down, in my opinion. Teams that could come up, I would look at a trade down for 4, 5, and 6. It'd be pretty wild if all three of those picks were traded, but it's very realistic. I think most likely two of those picks will be traded. Teams look out for the Packers want to move up. Do they want to move up high enough to get a Bradley Chubb, if Saquon Barkley, if he drops there? Or do they want to go barely in the top 10 to get a Derwin James, Minka Fitzpatrick, maybe one of the linebackers? We will see. But I would look out for the Packers. The Dolphins, I don't think will move up, but that's a team to look out for. And then the Cardinals. Cardinals are supposed to be coming up to get their quarterback. I'm thinking 5, 6 range for them. Which quarterback is it? I like the fit of Rosen there, or Allen if he's available. Some people think that they like Lamar Jackson, but I don't know if they would come up as high as 5 or 6 to get Lamar Jackson. We would see. I'm not a big fan of trading away a ton of picks, but maybe if you're one player away, it makes sense. But we'll see how much they give up, how much those teams give up. The Broncos, you got to think if somehow Barkley's there, they stay put. But other than that, they want to trade back. It would be a good move, in my opinion. The Colts are a team that traded back from 3 to 6. They kind of risk missing out on a top-tier player. Example would be Bradley Chubb or Saquon Barkley by moving back from 3 to 6. So they were okay with that, obviously. So I think they'll be okay with that again. I think they like the depth of this class. They can get just as good as a player if they move back not too far. So I expect the Colts to try to move back a little bit, just outside the top 10 maybe. The Patriots are another team discussing to come in this top 10 to get a quarterback. I don't know if it actually happens, but I will say I don't think they pick at their current spots, which are 23 and 31. I think they'll possibly pick at 31. They can move around with that 23 spot though. 7, the Bucks could be a wild card team to trade back. Haven't been discussed a lot lately, so that's why they're a wild card team. But then I think they can stay put. Quentin Nelson or Derwin James is the two players I'd look out for, unless somebody crazy drops like Barkley or Chubb. Bears at 8. What am I expecting from the Bears? Well, one, I think they would like to trade back. I don't think it happens, though. I don't know if they find a team that wants to trade with them, because the teams that want to trade up want quarterbacks. I think they need. There's been rumors that Rosen can fall, so the Bears would have to be praying that, or hoping that Rosen would fall, so they find a draft partner, or a trade partner in the draft, I should say. So it might be a little harder for them to find a trade partner, is my point. So what am I expecting from the Bears if they end up picking 8? I'm expecting a surprise. The Bears surprise us a lot. I'm starting to think, I've had a middle linebacker, Rowland Smith, Tremayne Edmonds, to them plenty of times. I'm starting to think they may not go that route. I think if Nelson's there, they don't surprise us. They go Nelson. If they don't trade back and Nelson's not there, I'm thinking a surprise. I don't know. Is it going to be a defensive back? Is it going to be a different offensive lineman? The Bears like to surprise us. That's just what they do. So that's what I'm expecting out of them if they don't trade back. But again, if Nelson's there, then they pull the trigger, no problem. Niners at 9. Apparently they like the linebackers, Edmonds, Rowland Smith. I also think they're looking to trade back if one of those guys isn't there. DB would be the wild card if they stay put. I know they like Harold Landry as well. I would like to pick at 9, but maybe that's why they want to trade back, because they believe they can get Landry further back. Looking at the Raiders, a million players come up for the Raiders at this 10th spot. You look at the 3 defensive backs, Derwin James, Minka Fitzpatrick, Denzel Ward. You look at the linebackers if they're there, Rowland Smith, Tremayne Edmonds, if Rashaan Evans, if they like him a lot, maybe a little early, but I do like Evans. Then they start talking about linemen. A lot of people are linking McGlinchey to the Raiders. I don't like McGlinchey in the top 10, even the top 12. Good player, but I view him as a mid to late first-round pick. That's just my take. He did struggle against Bradley Chubb, which is understandable. Best player in the draft, in my opinion. He did struggle against that Georgia game big time. Good talent there, but you're going to have to play well against that good talent if you want to be picked in the top 10. That's my take. Good player, going to have a good future, good at run blocking as a tackle, but more importantly, you want to have a good pass blocking tackle, which he could struggle a little bit at first, but will be a good player, so don't take it the wrong way, but a little early for me, in my opinion. So outside the top 10, other teams I want to point out, we already talked about the Packers possibly moving up. The Dolphins, I expect to trade. Will they move up, back? We'll see. One of the two. The Seahawks are a team I expect to move back multiple times, maybe not multiple times on day one, but throughout the draft. I think they'll move back once on day one, though. They need more picks. They lost a lot of people this offseason, so it's a team I expect them to move back. They could use a number of players. I know they like Josh Sweat a lot, so we'll see if they move back and get him. I don't know if they want to go past the Titans, though. The Titans also like Josh Sweat, but the Titans also like 2 guys that potentially could drop to them. Harold Landry, Rashaan Evans. One of those guys could drop to them due to these trades and these quarterbacks pushing them back. That would be the dream scenario for them. Harold Landry makes more of an impact, but Rashaan Evans would be an excellent day one starter in that defense for them. So if they're both there, tough decision. Leighton Vander Esch could go there. He could go earlier. I had him at 15 of the Cardinals at one point, but people seem to be concerned with his injury. So I moved him down my board. I don't know if he gets drafted in the first round. Maybe the Steelers if he's there. But apparently some teams cleared him. He's good to go. Some teams took him off their board completely. So it's a weird situation. Miles Jack, we've seen him drop from some injury that they didn't really know about, minor injury, ended up playing right away. So we'll see. I don't know if he gets by the Steelers pick, but we will see. Maurice Hurst, another guy, I expect him to drop. I've heard that he could drop big time. Second round at the earliest, honestly. Teams worried about that heart condition. Why did that come up? And then why did it clear all year at Michigan? Maybe they purposely cleared him and they knew it was there because he wanted to play. They wanted him to play. I don't want to accuse him of that, but it's kind of weird that it comes up the combine and then go back to the pro day at Michigan and it's cleared again. So teams got to be a little iffy on that. I'm sure they know way more than we do, but I'm pretty sure he's going to drop out of the first round. Could even drop out of the second. That'll be wild because he's a good player. As you can see, if you already looked at my big board, if you click that link next to him and some other guys, it shows would be a certain rank. He would be top 20, top 15 if he was cleared. Guys like Arden Key have a big what if, so you see that on my big board. Guys that have skill-wise could be better. But outside the top 10, I'm trying to think of other teams. the Jags, the Vikings, the Saints, the Eagles, top teams picking late in the first. I expect those teams to look to trade back. Teams, I don't think all of them are going to trade back, but I would look out for that. I mentioned the Titans. If the Titans don't have Harold Landry or Rashaan Evans on the board, they could trade back. Looking at teams in the second round, the Browns, the Giants, the Broncos, Colts, Buccaneers, all those teams, I expect at least a couple of those teams I just named to attempt to move up from the second round to the first round. So look out for that. I just named teams that I think could move back before that. So match them up, which teams will trade out. I discussed the Vikings before. They like to trade back when they see depth behind them. They never hesitated to do so. They see some good players that are sitting in their later picks or picks they can get from swapping and gaining a pick at the same time. They never hesitated, and this is the ultimate draft for that. We'll see if they agree with that statement. See if they think so too. They could stay put. They need an offensive lineman. That's really all they need. To complete their team, but they could use some other things for depth. We'll see what they do. So that's my final thoughts on the first round there. We'll go into the grades and all that after the draft and my mock for day 2 and 3. But let's get into my top 10 big board. You click the link. Maybe you already did it. Maybe you already checked it out. Maybe you're going to look after this. But I'll give you my top 10. I got 60 or so guys ranked in my big board. But again, I prefer the position rankings. They're more helpful, more interesting to me. Back in the day, I never really did a big board. I kind of did top 10, and that's about it, and then just did position rankings. Ever since I was little, I was writing out position rankings, so I think those are more interesting to me, more helpful. So I have a link for both of those. But on to my number 1 player in the draft, it's Bradley Chubb, the edge rusher from NC State. I like him in the DM position, obviously. I'd give him a grade of an A+ in the run game. And then the pass game, it could be around B+ to A-. So with the right coaches, it would be nice to see him improve, which I think is likely. We've seen guys that are excellent in the run game that need a little work in the pass game plenty of times in the past. That with the next level coaching, NFL coaching is obviously better in college. They made that next step up. So I like Bradley Chubb, my number 1 player. Again, pass rush. It's the most important thing in football. If it's not quarterback, it's one of the two. On to my number 2 player, Saquon Barkley. Really my top 4. I've been moving these guys. This top 4 has been my top 4 for a long time. I've been moving these guys around a lot. But Saquon Barkley just so dynamic. So you don't see a running back like him every day. It's mainly the pass catching ability and what he does after the catch is what gets me and what makes me put him at 2. Him running by defenders. Looks like he runs a 4.3 on the field while being that strong. The only negative I see is once in a while he won't see the hole when it's there, mainly in the Ohio State game. That scares me a little bit, but obviously not enough. The positives are overwhelming because I have him at number 2. It's pretty obvious. So excellent running back. You don't see him a lot. Would be number 1 last year, which was an excellent running back class. I will say this, though. People compare him to Adrian Peterson. I do not compare the two. Adrian Peterson's the best running back I've ever seen. So he's not quite there, but excellent. Number 3 is going to be Quentin Nelson. I mentioned maybe the best at his position, but how do you value the guard position? I mean, you're going to be able to run the ball a lot better, that's for sure. He's mentioned that these D tackles are tearing it up. That's a great point. The Eagles won the Super Bowl with great D lineman play. You got Aaron Donald tearing it up. You got the Vikings defense, Jaguars defense from the interior D line. So you could use a guy like Quentin Nelson, but I mean, he could very easily be put 1. I won't disagree if he's 1. I won't disagree if he's 4. Just, again, my top 4 are very close. One of my favorite players in the draft is going to be number 4, Tremayne Edmonds. I'm very high on him. Higher than most, I thought, at one point, because I had him in this range. But it seems like other people are putting him up here now, too, so maybe I'm not higher than most people. But freakish guy. Another guy that I can very easily put at 1. So just such a dominant player, only 19 years old, had a lot of room to grow and could play at a high level now. Good at reading plays, good at getting the backfield, good at tackling. Rangy guy, can get from one sideline to the other sideline just like that. Can make an athletic play on a guy when you don't think he has a chance. Sometimes, I mean, he got juked out sometimes, but he still made the play. A lot of guys can't do that. A lot of guys do get juked out too, so it's not like it's really a bad thing. It happens. But he'll still make the play because of his freakish ability. Rare size at the linebacker position. So he's my number 4. So I think there is a decent gap between my top 4 and the rest of them. But these other guys definitely belong in the top 10. Definitely very good. Number 5 is going to be Derwin James. You don't see a safety like this every draft. I mean, I say that, but last year we had a Jamal Adams, and I said that about Jamal Adams last year. So we got lucky with these two drafts, these past two drafts here. Derwin James is a safety like Jamal Adams, can play very well in the pass game and in the run game, good at run plays. Good in the run plays, I should say. Could come up and make a tackle. Good at reading plays. He's really got it all. As long as he stays healthy, maybe even higher on this board if he didn't have injuries in his past. People believe he can play corner, can even play linebacker. I think he can too, but I'm not worried about that. He's a safety, and we know he's a safety, and we know he can play at a high level. If he's healthy, he can be a Pro Bowler early on in his career. On to number 6. 5 and 6, very close, but number 6 is Rowland Smith, the linebacker from Georgia. Maybe the best player in college football this past season. So dominant at his position. And the best thing about him is his play reading ability. He figures out the play before it happens. He sees it once. He won't let it go by him a second time, and that's rare. That's something you cannot coach. I mean, you can teach yourself that by watching a lot of film, but I think it's something you just have. Some people have it and you don't. A lot of these elite players, the reason they're elite in the NFL is because that play reading ability. You see a lot of safeties and linebackers with that ability. He's got it. So, I mean, if he was higher on this list, I wouldn't disagree with it, but this is where I got him. Excellent player. Number 7 is going to be Minkah Fitzpatrick. Now, throughout this process, I've had him way higher in this because, I mean, I played defensive back, and he is so smooth. He can read plays, sees the quarterback, reads the quarterback, just so smooth. The technique is just, it's the way he attacks the ball. Everything is so smooth. But why is he down at 7, which isn't bad? It's still a great player. It's because we don't know his true position. He can play safety, he can play corner, but he's better at slot. He's played more of slot position. Nick Saban, guy that is pretty much there. His job is to bring in NFL talent, win national championships, getting ready for the next level, and he thinks he'll be a safety at the next level. I trust his judgment. I think he can be a safety, but since we don't know 100% true position, that's why he's behind these other guys. But obviously, I think highly of him. Obviously, I think he's a great player, top-tier talent in this class, being at number 7. Number 8 is going to be Baker Mayfield. I mean, he's the guy I want on my football team. That's bottom line. He's the best quarterback in this draft. I'm not worried about the height. He'll get it done. If he goes to the Browns, it's hopefully that Browns curse doesn't keep up, because that would be the reason he fails if he does. I hope he goes to a solid team. I'm not too worried if he goes to the Browns even. They're doing a good job recently there. So I do like Baker. Just the scary thing to people is just that system at Oklahoma found guys open, but he can throw on the run. He can make throws. He can read defenses. He's got it all. He's got it all. And people try to compare him to mobile quarterbacks. That's just a bonus to him. He's quick, can run, but he's 100% a passer first and a good one. So I like Baker Mayfield there at 8. Number 9 is going to be Harold Landry, the edge rusher from Boston College. Maybe I'm higher on him than others. It's elite pass rush at the college level. Hopefully it translates over. That outside dip move just seemed to be unblockable. An athletic offensive tackle with and excellent footwork is needed to block that. So he has room for improvement on the inside, but that's what the NFL is for. That's what these NFL coaches are for. We've seen it done in the past. So if he can develop an inside move, which it's not bad right now, obviously I have him in the top 10. But if he develops that, you're not going to know what's going to hit you on the outside or the inside. We can come back to this class if he goes to the right coaching and maybe look at him as the best player in this draft, because the production he puts up in the NFL, sacks are insanely important. So I like Harold Landry. There's this talk about him going mid to late first. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. I'm going to do my winners and losers after tonight's draft. If he ends up going mid to late first, we'll see who wins it, because we don't know where anybody else may drop to. But look out for this guy. I like Harold Landry a lot. Number 10 is going to be Courtland Sutton. Maybe another surprising one. I'm higher on him than most. He's just a dominant receiver. Maybe he's not today's NFL's receiver. It still works for a lot of guys, but people knock him because of his speed, athleticism. He has very good athleticism and speed for his size. He's athletic for any size. Speed 4.5 is fast for any size. He's just the strongest receiver in the class. He's 6'4". I like the 4.5 speed for that size. 4.5 is fast for anybody. People forget that. Great hands, maybe the best in the class. People worried about his route running. I'm not worried. We've seen him do it all of it. Any of the routes, just more of the down the sideline stuff and more of the jump balls in the red zone. There was just more of that than anything else. But that's not it. It doesn't worry me. But he's that guy. He's that bailout receiver, which you love to see. If you need a guy, you got to throw it up. You have no choice. It's fourth down. Time's running out. This is your guy. This is your guy that can jump up and catch the ball. Compare him to Julio Jones. Obviously, prospect Julio Jones is better because of the speed, but he still has the speed and athleticism. So I like Courtland Sutton. He would have been my #1 receiver last year as well with some pretty good receivers. I know they didn't really show up on the stat sheet at the end of the year, but I'm not worried about those guys going forward anyways. So there's my top 10 big board. You can see the rest of it with the link, the position rankings. You can see that. Anything else do I want to add about these position rankings? They're obviously split up by position, and then there's a round grade next to them. That's not what round I think they will go in. That is the round I graded them in. I've been changing a lot lately. Slight things have moved guys up and down if they're closely graded. Let's hope it's set before the draft starts. Obviously, it's going to be final when the draft starts. That's pretty obvious. So I did split up some of the linebackers, a lot of different varieties of them this year. And then there's a slot group, which I think there's more slot corners or box safeties, nickel package guys. There's more of them this year than ever. So it's pretty impressive because there is a need for that, big time need for that now more than ever. So I have a separate group of that, and there's actually a lot of guys on there. So hope you enjoyed the videos leading up to the draft. I enjoyed keeping you guys posted here. We'll be back after the draft. We're always here, even after the draft's over. And during NFL season, we got you covered. So please stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe. Check out our Twitter, frogs_angels. More to come there with the final mock. But that'll do it. Goodbye.